My neighbor invited me inside, then said, "Fix it first, we'll talk after." Living in the sprawling orbital colony of Nova Aerie, he had grown used to the quiet hum of machinery, the gentle swish of air recycling through the corridors, and the steady rhythm of his own footsteps. Most days, he spent his time alone in his small apartment, tinkering with gadgets and systems that others found confusing or frustrating. Humans, he liked to think, had an edge in creativity and problem-solving that machines simply couldn't match, and Alex was determined to keep proving it, at least to himself. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed, or at least it started changing. The colony's soft amber light filtered through his apartment window, bouncing off the neat rows of tools and half-finished projects. Alex had just settled into his routine: a cup of recycled coffee, a notebook, and a small hover tool he had been calibrating for days. The moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. Alex froze. Visitors were rare. He checked the intercom screen. A woman stood outside. Her hair was a deep auburn, pulled back casually, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity. She wore a jumpsuit covered in small pockets, each brimming with gadgets Alex couldn't immediately identify. She smiled warmly. "Hi, I'm Eleora," she said, her voice bright, carrying just enough confidence to make Alex shift uncomfortably. "I just moved in next door." "I wanted to introduce myself." Alex hesitated. He rarely entertained casual visits. Most neighbors kept to themselves, and most conversations didn't last more than a few minutes. But something about her, maybe the way her smile didn't falter, maybe the way she seemed genuinely unbothered by his cautious gaze, made him unlock the door. Hi," he said, stepping aside. "Alex Mercer." Eleora's eyes swept past him, briefly scanning the cluttered apartment. "Nice place," she said. "Lots of gadgets, I like that." She glanced back at him. "Listen, I have a small problem. It's complicated and I could really use some help." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Complicated how?" She grinned, and Alex noticed the faint twinkle of excitement in her eyes. "It's my apartment system. It doesn't work right. Nothing dangerous, don't worry. But I need someone with experience, someone who can think like a human rather than just following protocols." "Can you help me?" Alex felt a spark of interest. Helping someone wasn't unusual in the colony, but this request was different. There was no formal report, no distress signal, just a challenge, one that was wrapped in her slightly mischievous smile. "Sure, but why me?" he asked cautiously. Eleora tilted her head, considering him. "Because I've heard humans have creativity. Machines are good, but humans notice things, find patterns, improvise." She paused, then added with a playful tone, "Besides, I like to see people try." "It makes things more fun." Alex blinked. That was an unusual compliment. And then she said something that made him chuckle nervously. "Fix it first, then we'll talk." The words hung in the air, light yet challenging. Alex wasn't sure whether he should laugh, refuse, or take her seriously. He did what he usually did when unsure: he accepted the challenge. "I'll try," he said finally, "but I make no promises." "Perfect," she said. "Come over anytime, I'll be here." And just like that she left, or at least retreated to her apartment, leaving Alex with a mix of curiosity, anticipation, and a slight thrill. Most people didn't issue challenges. Most people didn't trust strangers with their problems, especially in a colony where privacy was valued above nearly everything else. By mid-afternoon, Alex found himself standing in front of her apartment door, tools in hand, a notebook tucked under his arm. He hesitated, his mind buzzing with possibilities. He didn't know exactly what he would find inside, but he knew it would be complicated. And somehow he hoped it would be interesting. He knocked. Eleora opened the door almost immediately, as if she had been expecting him. "Ah, you made it," she exclaimed. Her apartment was unlike anything Alex had seen. Small plants with glowing veins lined the walls, each one carefully suspended in tiny, transparent pods. Small, humming devices floated near the ceiling, adjusting light and temperature. A soft green mist lingered in the air, carrying a faint scent of something sweet and alien. Alex's eyes widened. This is impressive, he said. Thanks, Eliora said, stepping aside. It's experimental. I've been trying to integrate some new biotechnology I discovered on Kepler 452b. It's tricky. The system's supposed to maintain oxygen, filter air, adjust temperature, and even manage some minor health functions. She shrugged. But it's acting up and I don't know why. Alex moved closer, scanning the devices. Everything was connected in ways that were both logical and chaotic. Wires looped through the plant pods, hovering drones floated near the ceiling, and tiny screens flashed patterns he had never seen before. It was a puzzle, and he loved puzzles. Where do we start? He asked. Eliora pointed to a large central pod in the middle of the room. That's the core. If you can stabilize that, the rest should follow. She smiled again, that same spark in her eyes. Good luck. You're going to need it. Alex took a deep breath and knelt by the pod. The surface was warm to the touch, almost alive. He traced the wires, examined the sensors, and watched the soft pulses of light through the plant's veins. It was intricate, unlike anything he had worked on before. Hours passed. Alex worked in silence, occasionally asking Eliora questions about how the system behaved, what patterns she noticed, or if there were times when it failed completely. She answered with patience, clearly enjoying the process, occasionally tossing in a playful comment or teasing remark that made Alex chuckle despite himself. For the first time in a long time, Alex felt truly immersed in someone else's world. The colony often felt sterile and mechanical, but here, in Eliora's apartment, there was a sense of life, creativity, and challenge that made his pulse quicken. As the orbital sun dipped and the soft amber lights of the colony reflected through the windows, Alex leaned back, wiping his brow. I think I'm getting somewhere, he said cautiously. Eliora leaned over his shoulder, peering at the pod. I believe you. I have a good feeling about this. Alex smiled faintly. I hope so, otherwise I'll be explaining to you why I failed. She laughed, a soft sound that seemed to fill the room. I'd still like your company, even if you fail. Alex paused. That simple statement stayed with him. She wasn't just looking for a repair. She was looking for someone to share this strange, beautiful experiment with her. And in that moment, he realized that maybe that was what made humans truly special. Not just the ability to fix problems, but the ability to connect, to care, to be present even in complicated, alien circumstances. By the time Alex finally left her apartment that night, the central pod was stable enough to maintain itself for several hours. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And as he stepped back into his own apartment, he felt an unfamiliar thrill, part curiosity, part excitement, part something he didn't yet want to name. From across the corridor, a soft light blinked in Eliora's apartment, almost like a wink. Alex grinned to himself. Tomorrow he would return and they would continue the challenge together. But he had a feeling it would be more than just fixing a system. And somehow, that was exactly the point. The next morning, Alex woke to the familiar hum of the orbital colony. The soft orange glow from the artificial sun filtered through his window, bouncing off the polished floors and his neatly organized tools. He sipped his recycled coffee, his mind already replaying the challenge from yesterday. Eliora's apartment, with its glowing plants and humming machines, had occupied every corner of his thoughts. He had no doubt that fixing her system would be difficult. But more than the difficulty, it was the challenge of understanding something entirely alien yet somehow intertwined with human ingenuity. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive, in a sense, and it needed more than technical skill. It needed patience, observation, and intuition. By mid-morning, Alex was standing in front of Eliora's door again, toolkit in hand and notebook tucked under his arm. He took a deep breath and knocked. Come in. Eliora's voice answered quickly. He stepped inside and felt a small thrill at the sight of her apartment again. The soft green mist hovered as before, the plant's veins glowing faintly in the morning light. Humming drones moved slowly above the pods, adjusting the environment with quiet precision. It was mesmerizing. "Morning, Alex," Eleora said with a smile, noticing his expression. "Ready to dive in?" "Ready," Alex replied, adjusting his toolkit strap. He paused. "So, where do we start today?" Eleora gestured toward the central pod again. "Yesterday, you stabilized the core for a few hours, right? Today, we need to figure out why it keeps fluctuating." "The system is strange. It seems to respond to moods, temperature, even the subtle vibrations in the room. It's almost like it's alive." Alex's eyebrows lifted. "Like sentient plants," Eleora nodded. "Exactly. The plants are genetically engineered to interact with the environment, monitor air quality, and adjust themselves to maintain comfort and health. But they don't behave like machines. They react, adapt, and sometimes resist. I've never seen anything like it before." Alex crouched by the pod, tracing the intricate network of wires and tubes connecting the plants. The system wasn't just electronic. It was a hybrid of biology and machinery, a delicate balance of human design and alien instinct. He carefully noted the pulsating lights and the subtle shifts in the pods. He started with observation, letting the system run while he recorded patterns. The plant's veins glowed brighter when Eleora moved around, and they dimmed slightly when she paused. Some of the drones adjusted their positions on their own, as if sensing fluctuations in the environment. "This is incredible," Alex murmured. "It's like the plants understand you." Eleora laughed softly. "They might, in a way. They react to carbon dioxide, humidity, vibrations. But it's more than that. Sometimes they stabilize perfectly, sometimes they behave unpredictably. It's a puzzle." Alex nodded. He loved puzzles, and he loved challenges that required more than just following instructions. He moved slowly, carefully adjusting wires, checking the data on the small monitors, and making minor corrections to the airflow systems. Every action he took was measured, every observation noted. Hours passed and the sun in the colony's dome shifted, painting soft streaks of amber across the apartment. Alex leaned back, staring at the glowing plants. "I think I understand part of it," he said. "The core isn't just a control system, it's a communication hub. It's trying to balance everything, but there's interference somewhere." Eleora stepped closer, peering at his notes. "Interference? Like what?" "Like signals that don't belong. Maybe the drones, maybe the lighting system, maybe something subtle in the room," Alex explained. "It's not hardware failure. It's the environment reacting to multiple inputs. The system adapts, but it's getting confused." Eleora's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "So, you think a human approach can fix it?" Alex smiled faintly. "We'll see." He paused, then added, "Sometimes machines can follow rules perfectly, but they fail to understand subtle context. Humans, we notice patterns, even unpredictable ones. We improvise, we adapt. That's why I asked for you," Eleora said softly. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment longer than necessary, and Alex felt a small flutter in his chest. Returning to work, Alex began experimenting. He adjusted a few environmental sensors, observed how the plants reacted, and logged every detail. He made small modifications, observing subtle changes, a slight increase in oxygen circulation, a minor tweak to the light spectrum, and even adjusting the vibration frequency of the floor panels. The plants responded slowly at first, then stabilized more consistently. Drones hovered with more precision. The room seemed to hum with harmony instead of chaos. Eleora watched him silently, fascinated. "You think differently," she said. "Most engineers would just try to override the system. You listen." Alex shrugged. "Listening is part of engineering. Systems like these, they have patterns. You just need to notice them." Hours melted away. Lunch passed unnoticed as Alex and Eleora shared small observations, jokes, and insights. She asked questions about his past work, and he asked questions about her discoveries on Kepler 452b. It wasn't just a technical partnership. It was a meeting of minds, and Alex felt energized in a way he hadn't in years. Finally, near evening, Alex leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. "I think we're getting close," he said. "The core is responding better. The plants are stabilizing, and the drones are moving with less interference." Eliora smiled, a mixture of relief and admiration on her face. "I knew you could do it." She paused. "You don't just fix things, you understand them." Alex felt a warmth spread through him at her words. There was more than just satisfaction in solving a problem. There was connection. He glanced around at the apartment, at the glowing plants, the gentle mist, and the intricate dance of machinery and life. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for trusting me with this." Eliora's smile deepened. "Trust isn't given lightly," she said, "but I think you earned it." For a moment, the room was quiet except for the gentle hum of the systems. Alex realized that this challenge had become more than a technical puzzle. It had become an opportunity to understand someone else's world, and in doing so, he had opened a door into a world of curiosity, laughter, and subtle companionship. As night fell over Nova Aerie, Alex packed up his tools, feeling a sense of accomplishment. The system wasn't perfect, but it was stable enough for Eliora to function comfortably. More importantly, he had taken the first steps in understanding the strange, beautiful hybrid of life and technology she had created. Eliora walked him to the door, her hand brushing his lightly. "Tomorrow," she said with a soft laugh, "we'll see if you can get it running perfectly." Alex grinned. Challenge accepted. He stepped back into the quiet corridor of the colony, feeling a thrill of anticipation. Fixing a system was satisfying. Understanding a living system was exhilarating, and getting to know Eliora, that was something entirely new. As he walked home, Alex realized that humans thrived not just in solving problems, but in connecting, observing, adapting, and sharing discoveries. And in that realization, he felt a surge of pride. Humanity, with all its curiosity and ingenuity, could navigate worlds that machines could not. And he was ready to explore this one, with Eliora. The next morning, Alex woke with a mixture of excitement and determination. His thoughts immediately returned to Eliora's apartment, the glowing plants, the humming drones, and the central pod that had challenged him for 2 days. Today, he decided, would be the day he made a real breakthrough. He dressed quickly and packed his tools, checking that everything he might need was in his bag. He carried a notebook full of observations from the previous day, diagrams and sketches of the system's quirks. The orbital colony was quiet, as it usually was at this hour, with only the hum of machinery and the faint chatter of early risers echoing through the corridors. When he arrived at Eliora's door, she was already waiting. Her auburn hair caught the light of the colony's morning glow, and her eyes held that same spark of curiosity that had captivated him since the first day. "Good morning," she said, smiling. "Ready to continue?" "Absolutely," Alex replied, feeling the thrill of anticipation. He stepped inside, and the apartment greeted him like a living organism. The plant's veins pulsed softly, and the drones hovered silently, adjusting light and temperature as if aware of his presence. Eliora's gaze followed him, subtle admiration and curiosity mingling in her expression. "Today," she said, "I want to see if you can stabilize the system for longer periods, maybe even understand why it reacts differently at certain times." Alex nodded. "We'll need to consider the system as a whole, not just the core, but how the environment, the plants, and the drones interact." He knelt beside the central pod and began observing carefully. The system had a rhythm, but it was unpredictable. Small fluctuations in light, temperature, or movement could cause the plant's pulses to speed up or slow down. The drones adjusted, but the plants sometimes reacted in ways that seemed almost emotional. Alex realized that brute force or direct control would not work. The system required understanding. He took a deep breath and started recording every subtle change, every reaction, every pattern he could see. Hours passed, and Eliora hovered nearby, offering observations and small insights. "Notice how the pulse slows when you step back," she said. "Maybe it's sensing your proximity." Alex nodded. "It's almost like it's aware, not conscious but reactive." He made careful adjustments to the airflow, changed the light spectrum slightly, and altered the vibrations of the floor panels. Slowly, the system began responding more predictably. The plant's veins glowed steadily, the drones moved with smoother precision, and the central pod's core stabilized for longer periods. Eliora watched him closely. "You're incredible," she whispered. "You don't just fix things, you understand them." Alex smiled, feeling a warmth he couldn't quite explain. "I'm learning," he said softly. As the afternoon passed, Alex's adjustments became more precise. He began to notice subtle connections. A spike in humidity might slow the plant's pulse, a particular light frequency could calm the drones, and even his own movements seemed to affect the system. The realization struck him. The system wasn't just reacting to environmental changes, it was responding to life itself. Eliora's voice broke his thoughts. "See, that's why I asked for a human. Machines could follow instructions, but only a human can notice these subtle patterns." Alex looked up at her, appreciating not just her intellect but her trust. "I see it now," he said. "It's not just a machine. It's a network of life reacting to everything around it. If we work with it, not against it, we can stabilize it completely." Together, they experimented further. Eliora suggested small tests, and Alex carefully implemented them. He adjusted light cycles, airflow, and drone positions. He even tried moving slowly through the apartment, noticing how his presence affected the system. With each change, the system became more harmonious. By evening, Alex leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. The central pod glowed steadily, the plant's pulses were smooth and rhythmic, and the drones moved with effortless coordination. The room was alive but balanced, a perfect dance of biology and technology. Eliora clapped softly. "You did it," she said, her eyes shining. "You really did it." Alex smiled, feeling a rush of satisfaction. "We did it," he corrected. "It's a team effort." She laughed softly. "I suppose so, but you led the team." There was a moment of quiet between them, filled only by the gentle hum of the system. Alex realized that their connection had deepened, not just as colleagues or neighbors, but as two minds sharing a challenge, learning from each other, and creating something beautiful together. "You know," Eliora said, breaking the silence, "most people wouldn't have taken this seriously. They'd have tried to override it or given up. But you understood." Alex felt a warmth in his chest. "Understanding is the first step," he said. "Fixing comes second." They shared a small smile, a silent acknowledgement of the bond forming between them. For Alex, the breakthrough wasn't just about the system. It was about connection, trust, and shared discovery. As night fell over the colony, Alex packed up his tools, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The system was stable, harmonious, and responsive. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive in a way that celebrated human ingenuity and patience. Eliora walked him to the door. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we can work on making it even better, but tonight, just enjoy this moment." Alex nodded, stepping into the quiet corridor. He felt a thrill of anticipation, not just for the system, but for the journey ahead with Eliora. Humanity thrived not just in solving problems, but in understanding, connecting, and sharing discoveries. And tonight, he felt more human than ever. As he walked back to his own apartment, he realized something profound. The real breakthrough wasn't just stabilizing the system. It was discovering that human creativity, empathy, and curiosity could bring life, balance, and joy, even to a hybrid of alien technology and earthborn ingenuity. And with Eliora, he felt ready to explore that discovery together, one careful step at a time. The soft hum of Eleora's apartment welcomed Alex the next morning, just as it had every day since their first meeting. But today felt different. The air was warm with morning light, and the glowing plants pulsed gently as if they sensed a shift in the energy of the room. Alex felt a subtle excitement, not for the system this time, but for the person who had made all of this possible. Eleora greeted him with a bright smile. "Morning, Alex, ready to continue?" she asked. But there was a softness in her tone, a hint of curiosity that went beyond the technical challenge. "Morning," Alex replied, adjusting his toolkit. "I'm ready, but today maybe we can pause for a moment, too." Eleora tilted her head, intrigued. "Pause? You mean take a break from fixing things?" Alex nodded. "Exactly. Yesterday we stabilized the system. The breakthrough was technical, but I think we should talk." Her eyes lit up. "Talk about what?" Alex stepped inside, letting the door close behind him. "About you, about me, about why we do what we do, about curiosity, creativity, and maybe dreams." Eleora's expression softened, and she gestured toward a small seating area by the balcony. "Then let's sit," she said, leading him to the chairs. The city of Nova Aerie stretched beyond the transparent walls, lights twinkling in the orbital night, a web of human ingenuity suspended in space. They settled into the chairs. Alex noticed how comfortable he felt with her, how easy it was to speak honestly, without the usual barriers of formality or routine. "I've always liked challenges," Alex began. "Not just technical ones, but puzzles, problems, things that make me think. But it's rare to find someone who understands that curiosity isn't just about solving, it's about learning." Eleora nodded. "I feel the same. Most people see systems as tools, obstacles, or routines. But life, living systems, they're full of surprises. They demand patience, observation, and respect." Alex smiled. "Exactly, and that's what made working with you special. Not just the system, but you challenged me in ways I hadn't expected." Eleora's gaze softened. "I wanted someone who could understand the plants, the drones, the hybrid system, and also see the beauty in it. You did. You see patterns, notice subtleties, adapt. That's rare." They shared a quiet moment, letting the soft hum of the apartment fill the space between them. Outside, the lights of Nova Aerie blinked like stars brought down to orbit, a reminder of human ingenuity and ambition. "Do you ever wonder," Alex asked, "what it means to create something that's more than just functional, something that's alive in a way?" Eleora smiled, her eyes reflecting the glow of the plants. "All the time. That's why I explore, experiment, and challenge myself. Life is not just about efficiency, it's about curiosity, connection, and wonder." Alex leaned back in his chair. "I think that's what makes humans different. We don't just follow rules. We observe, imagine, create, and care. Even when the system is alien, complex, or unpredictable, we find a way to connect." Eleora's voice was soft but certain. "That's why I asked you to help. Not just for your skill, but for your perspective. You see life in ways machines cannot." Alex felt a warmth in his chest. "I think that's why I've enjoyed this so much. It's not just about fixing the system. It's about understanding it, learning from it, and learning from you." Eleora looked down, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "I think I've learned a lot from you too, about patience, observation, and the human touch. It's rare in a world full of automation." Alex's smile widened. "And it's rare to find someone who appreciates that. Most people just see results. You see effort, thought, and care." For a while they sat in silence, the hum of the apartment and the glow of the plants creating a quiet, shared space. It was a different kind of connection, one that didn't need words or actions, but understanding and presence. "I like that," Eleora said finally, breaking the silence, "that we can sit here and just talk. Not about fixing things, not about systems, but about ideas, dreams, and curiosity." Alex nodded. "Me too. It reminds me that humans aren't just problem solvers. We're thinkers, observers, explorers. We find meaning, not just function." Eleora leaned back in her chair, glancing at the glowing plants. And sometimes that meaning comes from shared moments, from collaboration, trust, and understanding. Alex met her gaze, feeling the subtle shift in their bond. It wasn't just professional respect or technical admiration anymore. It was deeper, a quiet connection built on shared curiosity and the joy of discovery. "Do you ever imagine," Alex asked, "what the future holds, beyond this colony, beyond the systems we understand? What humans could create, explore, or discover?" Eleora's eyes sparkled. "All the time. I think about worlds we haven't seen, life we haven't touched, and ideas we haven't imagined. And I think about the people I'll share it with. Connection is just as important as discovery." Alex smiled. "I feel the same, and I think I want to explore it with you. Not just the systems, not just the science, but everything." Eleora's lips curved into a gentle smile. "I'd like that," she said softly. "I'd like that very much." For a long moment they let the words settle. Outside, the colony sparkled, alive with human ingenuity. Inside, the apartment hummed with life, plants and drones responding in harmony. And between them, a new understanding had formed, one that went beyond technology, curiosity, or challenge. It was about shared discovery, mutual respect, and the beginnings of a bond that neither had expected but both had quietly hoped for. "I think," Eleora said finally, "that humans have a special ability, not just to solve problems but to find connection where it matters most, even in systems, even in challenges, even in unexpected moments." Alex nodded. "Exactly. And I think that's what makes this us so exciting. We can explore, create, and connect, together." Eleora reached out, touching his hand lightly. "Together," she agreed. They sat there for a while longer, talking about everything and nothing. Dreams, curiosities, future plans, and the strange joy of discovery. The apartment, with its glowing plants and humming drones, felt alive, not just with technology, but with the energy of their shared understanding. As night settled over Nova Airy, Alex packed up his notebook and tools, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Today wasn't about fixing the system. Today was about connection, understanding, and the quiet joy of sharing thoughts and dreams. Eleora walked him to the door, her hand brushing his lightly. "Tomorrow," she said with a soft smile, "we'll make the system even better, but tonight, just enjoy this moment." Alex nodded, stepping back into the quiet corridor of the colony. He felt a thrill of anticipation, not for technical challenges, but for the journey ahead with Eleora. Humans thrived not just in solving problems, but in connecting, observing, adapting, and sharing discoveries. And tonight, he felt more human than ever. As he walked back to his own apartment, he realized something profound. The real breakthrough wasn't just stabilizing the system or understanding alien technology. It was discovering that human curiosity, empathy, and imagination could create connection, balance, and joy. And with Eleora, he felt ready to explore that discovery together. One thoughtful conversation, one careful step, and one shared dream at a time. The morning sun of Nova Airy filtered through the colony's transparent dome, casting soft golden light across Alex's apartment. Today felt different. He could feel it in his chest, a steady rhythm of anticipation that went beyond the technical challenge or the glowing plants of Eleora's apartment. Today, it was about possibility, about the future. Alex packed his tools carefully, double-checking that he had everything he might need. But unlike the past days, there was no nervous tension. Instead, there was excitement, a quiet certainty that today something meaningful would happen. When he arrived at Eleora's door, she was already there, waiting. Her auburn hair glowed in the morning light, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity and warmth. The central pod behind her pulsed gently, its glow a soft rhythm that matched the quiet excitement in the room. "Good morning," she said with a smile. "Ready to make it perfect?" Alex nodded, but he hesitated. "I'm ready, but I think we can also focus on something else today, beyond the system. Eleora raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Beyond the system. Yes, Alex said, stepping inside. We've stabilized it. The plants are thriving, the drones are balanced, and the environment is harmonized. But today, I want us to think about how to expand this, to take what we've learned and use it to improve life in the colony, together. Eleora's eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and excitement. You mean, use this as a prototype for other systems? Alex nodded. Exactly. Humans have this ability to observe, adapt, and connect in ways machines can't. If we can combine that with your hybrid systems, we can create environments that not only function perfectly but respond to life, curiosity, and even human emotion. Her expression softened. That's brilliant. And you want to do it with me? Yes, Alex said, smiling. I can't think of anyone better to explore this with. They spent the morning examining the system, making subtle enhancements that went beyond stabilization. Alex adjusted the airflow in ways that mirrored natural breezes. Eleora fine-tuned the light spectrum to simulate the gentle cycles of a planet's day. Together, they experimented with vibrations, humidity, and even sound frequencies, carefully noting each response. As the day progressed, their work became less about technical fixes and more about creativity. They laughed as minor adjustments created unexpected patterns in the plants. They marveled at how the drones moved with new grace when environmental factors were tuned just right. Between the technical experiments, they shared stories about their past work, their favorite discoveries, and their dreams for the future. Alex told Eleora about the small orbital colony where he had grown up, about the first tools he had built, and the joy of watching machines respond to human touch. Eleora shared stories of distant worlds, of plants and life forms she had studied, and the wonder of seeing alien biology react in ways that were both familiar and strange. By late afternoon, the system hummed with perfect harmony. The central pod glowed steadily, the plant's veins pulsed rhythmically, and the drones moved with effortless coordination. It was alive, balanced, and more beautiful than either of them had imagined. Eleora stepped back, letting out a soft laugh. It's perfect, she said. All of it, and it's not just the system, it's us. The way we work together, the way we understood each other, it's reflected in it. Alex smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with accomplishment. I think that's the real breakthrough. Not just the system, but understanding that humans, curiosity, and connection can create something extraordinary. For a moment, they stood quietly, letting the glow of the apartment wash over them. Outside, the orbital colony stretched endlessly, lights blinking like a network of stars suspended in space. Inside, the room was alive with the rhythm of life, technology, and human ingenuity. Eleora looked at Alex, her gaze soft but steady. You know, she said, I think we make a good team, not just technically but in everything. Alex felt a rush of emotion. I think so too, he said. I've never met anyone like you. You challenge me, inspire me, and somehow make everything more exciting. She smiled faintly, stepping closer. And you make me trust that humans, with all their quirks and curiosity, can solve problems in ways I never imagined. I enjoy being around you. Alex reached for her hand, holding it gently. I enjoy being around you too. More than I expected. They shared a quiet moment, the hum of the system matching the quiet rhythm of their connection. It wasn't a rush of passion, but a steady, comforting realization that they had found someone who understood them. Not just their minds, but their curiosity, their creativity, and their desire to make life better. Tomorrow, Eleora said softly, we can start thinking about applying this to other parts of the colony, maybe even design systems for other habitats. But tonight, let's just enjoy this. Alex nodded, smiling. Tonight, we celebrate. They sat together on the balcony, overlooking the sprawling lights of Nova Aerie. The orbital colony sparkled below, a testament to human ingenuity and imagination. Alex felt a deep sense of pride, not just in the system they had stabilized, but in the fact that humans could create, connect, and discover in ways that no machine could replicate. "I've realized something," Alex said quietly. "Humans aren't just problem solvers. We're explorers, thinkers, and connectors. We find patterns, understand life, and make beauty where there was only function. That's what makes us us." Eliora nodded, squeezing his hand. "And when we work together, we make life not just functional but extraordinary." They talked long into the orbital night, sharing ideas, dreams, and plans for the future. They imagined habitats that could respond to curiosity, gardens that could adapt to human emotion, and systems that could thrive alongside life instead of controlling it. Every idea was infused with possibility, and every conversation deepened their connection. By the time Alex left that night, the system behind him pulsed gently, alive and balanced. It was more than a machine. It was a reflection of human ingenuity, patience, and creativity. And it was a reflection of the bond that had grown between him and Eliora, a bond built on understanding, trust, and shared discovery. As he walked through the quiet corridors of Nova Aerie, he felt a profound sense of optimism. The future wasn't just about stabilizing systems or exploring alien technology. It was about collaboration, connection, and the endless possibilities that human curiosity could unlock. And with Eliora by his side, Alex knew they could achieve anything. Together, they would explore, create, and discover. Together, they would show that humans could not only survive in the stars, they could thrive, connect, and make the universe a little brighter. And for the first time in a long while, Alex felt completely at home, not just in the colony or in the systems he could fix, but in the infinite possibilities of human ingenuity, curiosity, and connection. The night settled over Nova Aerie, calm and beautiful. The apartment hummed softly, alive with plants, drones, and subtle lights. Alex knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new joys. But for now, he walked back to his own apartment, heart full of hope, mind full of ideas, and a quiet certainty that the future, human, alive, and brilliant, was just beginning. And somewhere in the soft glow of the colony, Eliora watched him leave, smiling. She knew that together, they would make life extraordinary.